I'd like to welcome you back to another Affinity 10 session. My name is Nick with TDG. In this Affinity 10 session, we're going to explore placing photographs inside of our publication. The document I currently have opened is the publication we created in a previous Affinity 10 session, in which we created an 8.5 inch by 11 inch booklet utilizing a modular grid and a baseline grid. Throughout this demonstration, I'll be utilizing stock photography, but it is important whenever possible that you utilize your own genuine, unique images. This brings us to our next Toby tip of the series, and Toby would like to remind us anytime we're placing photographs inside of our document that we intend to have printed, we need to ensure that those photographs are converted to the CMYK color space, and we also need to make sure that those images are utilizing 300 dpi whenever possible. That's going to give us the best possible output when we have this printed. Affinity gives us a wide variety of options for importing photographs into our project. We'll explore each of these and also discuss their advantages and disadvantages. The first way we can import a photograph into our project is simply going to our File Explorer, navigate to where you have your photographs, and drag that photograph onto the page. Anytime you place a photograph using this method, it's going to place the photograph at 100% of its actual size. So across this spread, you'll see this image easily covers this entire spread of the document. The next thing we may have to do is actually resize the image. So how can we resize this image? The first way we can resize it is we want to make sure down in our transform panel that we have the locked aspect ratio linked together. If your link is grayed out, you want to make sure you click on that to link them together. We can then go to a corner of the image and click and drag the image, and it'll stay in proportion while we're dragging it, which is always what you want. You want to avoid distorting the image whenever possible. If I go to the bottom of the image, however, and I start dragging up on it, you'll notice even though we have the aspect ratio locked, it's actually distorting the image. So anytime you're resizing the image using this method, you want to make sure that you're doing that from one of the corners and scaling down to make sure it scales it in proportion. The next way we can place photographs inside of our document is going underneath the File menu, going to Place. Now I did change my shortcut to be Control-D using a custom shortcut. Your shortcut may be different. Navigate to the folder where your photographs are located, click on the image, and then it loads it into the cursor for us, where we can then click and hold and drag if we want to control the sizing of that image when it's placed. So once again, that's just clicking and holding and dragging it. I'm going to undo that. We'll go back to place that same photograph, but instead of clicking and dragging, I'm just going to click, and it does the exact same thing it did previously from dragging it from the File Explorer. It brings it in at 100% of the size. I'll now go ahead and delete that. And the final way we can import photographs into our document is using the Place tool. The benefit of using the Place tool is we can select several images at once holding down our Control key, clicking on Open, and then over here in our Place panel, you'll see we have all three photographs where we can then choose whichever photograph we want to place first and drag that image onto our layout. So if I wanted this image next, I can click on that, come over onto our page and place it. And finally, we have the last image we can place and drag it out as well. You can also resize your images once again by coming down to a corner, clicking and dragging to resize it. And you can also resize by directly entering a value into the width. So I can change this from just under 5 inches to be 2.5 inches. I have my anchor point set to the top left of this image, so it'll scale going from that direction. And now you'll see it scaled down proportionally since our anchor point was set up here to the top left. And if you're not familiar with how these anchor points work, just think of these as the bounding box of the image, where this is the left side, left bottom, left top, right side, right bottom, and so on. I'll now go ahead and delete these images. And the way that I prefer to insert images when I'm doing layouts is by utilizing our frame tools. And that's going to give us the most control when placing our images. The frame tools you'll find over here on your tool panel, where we have the picture frame tool for the rectangle and also for the ellipse tool. So the first thing I'll do is I'll get the rectangle tool. We'll come over here onto our layout, and I just want to go ahead and draw out a rectangle for the image to fill up in this space. And now I can go up to File, Place, or you can also use your shortcut. I'll grab this image here, click Open, and it's now going to place that image inside of this frame. Now, it's still going to place it at 100%, and it's going to fit it proportionally. So if I come up here to my properties of this frame, with this frame selected, come underneath our properties. If you don't see this, make sure that you have the frame selected that the photograph is in. Click on properties, and you'll see it as scale to maximum fit. This is going to be your best friend when working with images and frames. You can also scale to minimum fit. I do not recommend using stretch to fill. Anytime you click on that, you'll notice that it distorts the image. So you want to avoid using stretch to fill whenever possible, unless there's a very unique situation in which you have to use it. You can also choose none, in which case the image will just fill up the entire frame again. Typically when I'm working with the frames, I'll click on properties, I'll scale to the maximum fit, and click on done. Down here along the bottom of the frame, you'll see we have a slider. If we slide it to the right, it'll make the image larger within that frame. If we slide it to the left, it'll make the image smaller within that frame. And while you're clicking and dragging, you can see the outside shape of the photograph semi-transparent that's outside of the view of the frame. As soon as we get inside all the frame, of course, we can see the entire image. So if I want the image to be right there, I can release the mouse. And then using our anchor tool right here with the 4 arrows, we can click on that and reposition this image inside of the frame anywhere we want for the creative look that we're going for. So I can move this to the left and to the right, however I want, until I'm pleased with the alignment, and then we have our image placed. And by utilizing the modular grid and baseline grid that we set up in the previous lesson, we can easily set up different frames on our page for placing imagery. So if I wanted an image to be here, I can place a frame. And maybe I wanted another image to be down here. And now ahead of time, I can click on these frames. I can come up to properties. I want them to scale it to the maximum fit from the middle anchor point. And now I can go into our place tool. I'll load up 2 images. And now I can click on whichever image I want first, place an image there, and we can place our next image there. So this would come in very handy if you're doing a photograph book, for example, where you want to load up all of your images at once, have your frames placed, then just go through your layout and place your images quickly. Then one by one, you can come back to fine tune those images by increasing the scale of them or decreasing the scale, and also changing their position within the frame itself. Another valuable way to place pictures and frames is actually utilizing the pen tool that gives us a lot more flexibility for creating unique frames. I know we haven't discussed the pen tool yet. If you use the pen tool in another design application, it works very similar. I'll click on the pen tool, and I'm just going to click and draw out a custom shape here. I know it's not the most practical, but for demonstration purposes, it'll work. And with our shape closed, I can right click on this, come down, and say convert to picture frame. And now this is a custom shape that I can go up and click on place. grab another image, and place that image inside of this custom frame. The frame tool works the same for the ellipse tool. We can click on that, draw out our circle. If you hold down the Shift key, that'll give you a proportional circle. I can then go up to File, Place. Scroll down until we find the photograph we want, and place the photograph inside of our ellipse frame. Now, if there's an instance where you have a creative change of mind and you want to change out a photograph, it's very easy to do. You just simply click on the frame. And up here at the top, you'll notice the option to replace image. You click on Replace Image, find the photograph that you would like to replace it with, click on Open, and that easily you have the new image inside of that frame. You can then resize it as needed, and also reposition it as needed. I'd like to thank you for joining me on another session of Affinity 10. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Please leave a like or subscribe to the channel to see future upcoming Affinity 10 sessions.